Hello all, welcome to the video Introduction to SQL Joins from SQL Server eTraining.com. My name is Satish. In today's video, we will talk about what are joins, what are the uses of joins, and what are the different types of joins. We will also take an example for each type of join and then we will see how that join works. So let's get started. So what are joins? Joins are used to identify how do we get data from multiple tables or the way that we need to get data from multiple tables. For example, we have two tables called customer table and address table, and customer table holds all the details of customers, and then address table holds all the address details of each customer in the customer table. So if we want to get all the details of customer, then we can write two select queries which gets all the details from these two tables individually. So the output will be something like two result sets, two separate result sets. What if we want to have all this data in one single result set? In that case, we use joins. So joins are used to combine the data from multiple tables and then view all the data in one single result set. Okay, so we join multiple tables or combine multiple tables based on some condition or some column which defines the relationship between these two tables. Or if we don't have any such column which does not maintain the relationship between these two tables, we can use some other column which gives some logical information that these two tables are related by that particular column. Okay, so if we have a foreign key constraint defined on one of these two tables which is relating to the other table, we can use that foreign key constraint or foreign key column to join those two tables. If we don't have a foreign key column defined, we need to identify a column that will tell us how to join the two tables, or that column or the column which makes these two tables joining meaningful. Okay, so that's about joins. We will see what are different types of joins. We have inner join, outer join, and then in outer join we have left outer join, right outer join, full outer join, and then we have also self join and cross join. We will see one by one. So what is inner join? Inner join is nothing but when you join two tables, all the intersecting records will show up. That means if one record from left table matches with the records from the right table based on the condition, then that record will show up. If it does not match, then it will not show up. Let's take an example. So I opened SQL Server Management Studio where I have scripts for two tables, the customers table and then the address table. So in customers table, I have the customer ID which identifies each customer uniquely, and then I have the customer first name and customer last name, and in the address table I have the address ID and then address line 1, address line 2, city, state, and then the customer ID which maintains the relationship between customers table and address table. So I'll go ahead and try to create these two tables, and then I have some sample data for two customers, Robert and Chad, in customers table. Actually, let's try to insert one more record whose customer ID is 3, and then let's say David, Robin, I'm trying to create the customers table again. So I have the table with user ID column, and then I have that user ID. Now I will insert this sample data into the customers table, and then similarly the address details into the address table. Now if I have a look at these two tables data, I have 3 customers in my customer table, and then in the address table I have only 2 address relating to customer 1 and customer 2. Okay, so I use the customer ID, which is the relation which explains which defines the relationship between these two tables. Okay, so now if I want to get my first name, last name, user ID, address, city, state all in one single result set, I'll try to use a join to get all these details. So the syntax for that is select star from table 1, and then if you are using inner join, table 2 on table 1 dot some column, whichever defines the relationship, okay, is equal to table 2 dot some column, and then you can have where clause to filter your data. Okay, so that's the basic, or that's the simple syntax for inner join. So let's use this inner join to get the data of each customer from customer table and also the address table. So select star from, my left table will be customer table. Okay, so whatever I give the table name as after from, that will be your left table. And then I'll put an alias as C. Okay, so that's my table alias for customers, and then I'm joining address table, and then my address table alias is as A. I'm joining on condition C dot. By looking at these two tables, I can say the customer ID, I can use this customer ID, and then I can use that same customer ID to get the address details from address table. Okay, so customer ID 1 means it's related to customer Robert. Okay, so the same customer ID I can look up in the address table to get his address details. Okay, so I can say customer ID from customer table is equal to customer ID from address table. Okay, so based on that condition, I'll try to join these two tables. So C dot customer ID is equal to A dot customer ID. Okay, so if I try to run that query without any where clause, I can see I have Robert information and then also Chad's information. Alright, so all I got is his first name, Robert's first name, last name, user ID, and then address record or address details from address table. Okay, so if you can see here in the customers table, we have 3 customers: Robert, Chad, and David. But then in our join, the query which we have written using an inner join, we got only Robert information and Robert address, and then Chad information and Chad address. But then we did not get David Robbins information because that customer does not exist in address table. Okay, so that 3 you did not find it in the address table. Okay, so that's the reason we did not get Robin's information or David's information. So using inner join, we get all the records which has matching in two tables. Okay, so Robert's customer ID is in customer table, and then his customer ID is also in address table. That's why 1 showed up, and then 2 also exists in both tables, so it showed up. But 3 does not exist in address table, so that's the reason it didn't show up. Okay, so based on the condition which you have in this query, you can get the data. So that is how inner join works. So inner join gets all the matching records from both the tables. Now if you don't want to have all these columns, maybe if you just want to look at, or only if you want to fetch last name and then city and state. Okay, so you can just replace that star. Star means all the columns from all the tables. So we have two tables which are participating in this query. So star showed up all the records or all the columns from customer table and also all the columns from address table. Now if you want to get only few columns, let's say C dot customer last name, and then let's say C dot customer user ID, and then A dot city, A dot state. Okay, so now I can run the same query and then I can see only those 4 records showed up. Alright, so that's how the inner join works. So inner join will get the data if a matching exists in both the tables. So what is outer join? In outer joins we have 3 types of joins: the left join, right join and full outer join. So if we look at here in the inner join that we have written, the customers table we called it as left table, and then the right table is the address table. So whatever is left to the inner join is called left table, and then whatever is right to the inner join is called the right table. So if we want to use the left outer join, so the same query can be written as, let's put it as star. Okay, and then instead of inner join, now I want to use left outer join or left join. Both means the same. So if I have these two tables and then if I run this query, so the definition of left join or the output of the left outer join will be something like, it will get all the data from left table, and then if it matches in the right table, it will get that information. If it does not have a match, then it will put it as nulls. Okay, so let's see. We have in the left table, if we have customer ID 1 and then his name as Robert, and then 2 as Robin, and then 3 as Chad. Okay, and then in the right table we have customer ID 1 and let's say address 1. Okay, so for customer ID 2 we have address 2. Okay, and then we don't have any address for Chad. Okay, so the result will be something like, it will get all the data from left table. That means we have 3 records, so all the records will show up, and then Chad. Okay, so if there is a match found in the right table, that means 1 is matching with the 1 in the right table. Okay, so address will show up. Okay, so similarly customer ID 2 also exists in the right table, so address 2 also will show up, but customer ID 3 does not have any matching in the right table, so it does not have any information to show. So for that reason it will just put it as null. Okay, so we have all the records from left table. If it matches in the right table, it will show that information. If it does not match, it will put it as null. Okay, so that's how left join works. So if you run this query, we can see we have all the three records that are existing in the customers table. We have three customers, okay, and then we have Robert's information in the address table, so we got it. And then we also have Chad's address from in the address table, so that also showed up. But then David Robin, his address is not existing in the address table, so for all these address table columns it put it as nulls. Okay, so that's how the left join works. And then you can always filter the data however you want. Look, for example, you want to have, once this join is done, okay, so you can filter the data by where a dot address line 1 is not null. Okay, that means once you join these two tables and then you want to look at only those customers whose address exists. Okay, so for David Robin, you don't have this address information. Okay, so those columns will be put it as null, so you can use that column and then you can say address line is not null. Now if you run this query, you can have only two records with their address information also. Okay, so let's see what is right join. Right join is nothing but it's exactly opposite of left join. Okay, so in this example we had three records in customer, three records in the left table, Robert, Robin, Chad, and then in the right table we have address 1, address 2. Okay, so if we join these two tables, okay, so based on the right join, and then if we use the right join, we will get all the details from right table. That means 1 and then his address, and then 2 and address, and then if it's matching in the left table, it will show up. So one customer ID 1 exists in the left table and then Robert comes up, and then similarly customer ID 2 exists in the customer table, so Robin shows up. There is no more records in the right table, only two records, so only two records will show up. Okay, and then if it has matching in the left table, it will show up. If it does not match, then it will show up null. But for now we have only 1 and 2, and then these 1 and 2 are exactly matching, so only 1 and 2 showed up. Okay, so if we run the same query with the right outer join, we can see only Robert and Chad. Okay, because in the address table we had only two address information. Okay, so these two address showed up and then they have matching in the left table, so those records show up. Okay, so that's how a right table works. For example, if we have another record in the right table, let's say the address ID is 3, and then we have some customer ID 5, and then if we insert this new record, okay, so I'm trying to insert that one particular record in the address table. Now looking at this data, I can say there are 3 customers in the customer table, and then there are 3 address in the address table, but then this third address which we just inserted, this does not belong to anyone in the customer table. Okay, so if I do a right join, that means it gets all the records from address table. Okay, even if it matches or even if it does not match. If it matches, it will pull the data. If it does not match, it will pull nulls. Okay, so it needs to get all the data from address. So how many records we have in address? All these 3 records. Okay, so all these 3 records will come up, and then it will match based on this customer ID. Okay, so 1 matches, so Robert will show up, and then 2 matches, so Chad will show up, but then 5 does not match, and then for 5 it will put as customer ID as null, customer first name as null, last name as null, and user ID also as null. Okay, see, customer ID or customer details for that third address showed up as nulls. Okay, so that's how the right join works. Let's see what a full outer join, how does it work. So if we have the same query and then use full outer join, now full outer join means nothing but it will get all the records from both the tables. Okay, so in this example, now we have third, let's say customer ID 5, and then we have address 5. Okay, so if I do inner join, I'll get 1 Robert and then 1 address, and then 2 is also matching in 2 tables, so 2 Robin and then 2 address 2. Okay, that's my inner join. So these two are matching based on the customer ID. Okay, so left join will bring all the records from left table, so 1 and 2 and 3, and then Robert, Robin and Chad, and then for matching information it will pull address and then 2 as address 2, and then the third, it does not have any information, so it showed up as null. Okay, so if I do right join, it needs to pull up all the information from right table. Okay, so 1 as address 1, and then 2 as address 2, and then also my third record as address 5. Okay, so in place of address with customer ID 1, I have a Robert. Okay, so Robert will show up, and then in second record the customer 2 Robin will show up, but then customer 5 does not exist in the left table, so it will show up as null. Okay, so similarly in the full outer join, it will show up as 1 Robert, and then does it have matching? Yes, so 1 address 1, and then 2 Robin, and then does it have matching? Yes, address 2, and then third record as Chad, does it have matching? No, so it will put it as null, and then my the fifth customer. Okay, so 5 and then address 5, and then for this the customer information will be nothing because it does not have any matching. So it has 1, 2, 3 and 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 5. Okay, and then if it has any matching, it will pull that matching. If it does not have matching, it will show it as null. So if I run this query, I can see my 3 customers, and then out of these 3 customers, 2 customers have address and then it showed up, and then the third customer does not have any address, it showed up as null. And then in the address side, you can see the 2 address had customer information, so it showed up, and then third it has, the third address, it is Chicago address, but then it does not have any customer information, it didn't show up. Okay, so that's how the full outer join works. So all we have to remember is inner join will bring all the records from the tables if it has matching records. Okay, only matching data or intersecting data will show up, and then in the left join it will pull all the data from left table. If it has matching information in the right table, it will show up. If it does not match, it will show up as null. and then the right table, it will pull all the records from a right table, and then if it has any matching, it will show up matching from the left. If it does not have matching, it will put it as null. And then full outer join, it will pull all the records from both the tables, and then if it matches, it will show the matching data. If it does not match, it will put it as nulls. Okay, so that's with the inner join and outer join. So what is self join? Self join is nothing but joining the same table. Let's say select star from customers. Okay, let's actually add a new column to customers table. Or let's try to, okay, I'm trying to cook up some data. Okay, so that way we can look at self join easily. So I added a employee grade column. Let's try to create a new table. That will be best, because in customers table, if I try to add employee, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm trying to create a new table called employee table, and then let's say employee ID integer, and then employee name varchar 100, employee type. Okay, it says it if he's an employee or if he's a manager. Okay, so let's say varchar 10. So I try to create that table, and then I'll insert some dummy data into that. And then let's say he is employee, or let's say he's manager. And he is an employee. And then fourth record, let's say Tom is also manager. Actually, let's add another column which says manager ID integer. Okay, so let's say the manager, so he is the manager, so he does not have any other manager, so I'll just put it as null. And then this is Chad's manager is Robert. Okay, so I'll put it as 1. And then David's manager is also Robert, so I'll put it as 1. And then Tom is also a manager, so I'll put it as null. And then Mike's manager is Tom. Okay, so if I have that data, I'll just try to drop that table again. Okay, So now if I look at the data in the employee table, I have, even if Robert is a manager, he still will be considered as an employee. Okay, but then his designation is a manager. Okay, so I have all this information. So all these are my employees, and then Chad and David's manager is Robert, and then Mike's manager is Tom. So I want to get the details in such a way that I want to have all the employees like Chad and then David and then Tom, Mike and Robert. Okay, so if I have the manager ID as null, that means, okay, so he is the manager and he doesn't have any manager on top of him. Okay, so that's fine. But then all the employees, instead of this manager ID, I needs to get the manager name. Okay, so how do I get that? So I want to have all this data, so I'll just say select star from employee because I need all the data from employee. Okay, and then I'll just put it an alias as emp. Okay, and then I'm trying to do a left join on the same table, okay, as manager on employee dot manager ID is equal to managers dot employee ID, and okay, so now if I want my employee dot employee name and then managers dot employee name. So if I try to run that query, I can see Robert, his manager is null. Okay, so and then Chad, his manager is Robert, and David, his manager is Robert, and then Tom, he is the manager, and then Mike, his manager is Tom. Okay, so I use the same table twice, okay, to get the details of employee and manager. Okay, so that's how you can use self join if you want to join the same table again. Okay, so similarly, if we take a look at the cross join, so cross join is nothing but it will get Cartesian product of all the records from the tables. Okay, so let's say we have a table called products and then product ID integer, product name varchar 100, and then we have a table called prices, okay, so we have these two tables, and then I'll try to insert some dummy data. So I have two products, apples and grapes, and then which doesn't make any sense. Let's say product 1 and then product 2. and then in the prices table I have alright, so I have the data. So select star from products and then select star from prices. So if I try to cross join these two tables, what happens is every record from the left table we join with all the records from the right table. Okay, so the product will be joining with prices and then it will get the prices for 10 and also for 20. That means product 1 will have price as 10 and also 20, and then product 2 will also have 10 and 20. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Select star from products and then cross join prices. Okay, so if we run that query, we can see the result as the product 1 has $10 and then product 2 also has $10, and then similarly product 1 has $20 and then product 2 also $20. So each record from product table join with the each record all the records from prices table. Okay, so product 1 will be joined with first record and then product 1 will be joined with the second record. Similarly product 2 also will join with all the records from prices table. So here we have 2 records and then in the prices table also we have 2 records, so 2 into 2, 4 records totally. Okay, so that is called the Cartesian product result set. So that's all about joins. Thank you all for attending this video session.